And now, Josh McFarland is going to have his own encounter with an ancient and deadly legend.
Move, move, move!
A legend should always be taken seriously. There could be truth, there could be something going on that we don't understand, so we need to tread lightly in case it's a part of something bigger that we don't understand.
The thought that it was hunting us was truly horrible.
The horrors of Ghost Road are exclusive to that small, rural area. But some deadly legends are woven into the foundation of an entire culture.
At first, I didn't really ever believe them. It sounds like a regional boogeyman type story. They describe them almost as like these monsters in the desert that I never really bought into until I saw what I saw that night.
Arizona is a land rich in mythology. Many of the most extraordinary stories come from the Navajo Nation, who today have made the small city of Window Rock their capital.
They say that the Window Rock itself holds a lot of spiritual energy for the Navajo's culture.
Apparently, a giant serpent savaged the people here, until their god punched a hole in the mountain for it to slither through and disappear. But there is something else stalking this land. A creature so terrifying, most refuse to speak its name aloud. Tonight, Josh is venturing out into the heart of the legendary creature's territory.
It's something everyone knows about, but no one really talks about. Part of the superstition is, you don't talk about it. They gain some of their power from having people take notice of them and having people interested in them. Talking about them invites them to take an interest in you.
And it's not only the Navajo who take the story seriously. Paranormal investigators know that legendary monsters can be rooted in terrible truths and understand how dangerous it is to come across one.
Depending on how horrific the legend itself is, the dangers can range from very weak and no danger to extreme dangers in the case of legends concerning particularly nasty, malicious creatures of any kind, not just spirits, but cryptids and physical creatures.
And just like the Garden of Eden, the most beautiful landscape can hide a vicious creature.
It almost feels like there's there's two sides to every coin. They talk about the good energy or the good shamanistic thing. It almost feels like, in the area, it almost makes sense that there'd be something kind of sinister to almost protect itself.
Legends just aren't stories. They could be warnings from our ancestors. They've seen stuff that we may not have experienced before. That might be just letting us know what's about to happen or what's yet to come.
Josh McFarland is not Navajo, but like everyone in these parts, he's heard that a mythical beast stalks these lands. He's never given it much thought, until now. Tonight, he and his father are driving down this dark road, miles away from the nearest town.
My dad owned and operated a small delivery service in and around the area, taking small packages out to rural settlements it's too much of a hassle for the larger companies. It was definitely not uncommon at all for us to be driving, like, very, very far from civilization. Snakes, horned lizards, but you definitely wouldn't want to find yourself alone at night in that area. We had gotten a call to install a large screen television in a house just outside of Window Rock. I always enjoyed the trips because it's just beautiful landscapes out there. During the nighttime, it's almost absolutely pitch unless there's a full moon. If you're driving down the highway, you pretty much can only see the areas in your headlights.
Suddenly, Josh senses the area may not be as deserted as it seems.
When you're in the desert at night, sometimes you get this feeling like something's out there with you. You know, you can kind of feel that there's something watching you.
If something else is out there, at least they're not entirely on their own.
Thanks for taking along.
Man, it's been too long since I've been up here.
The reason David was with us when we got the call to go out to Window Rock for this particular delivery, he was there and he's like, oh, you know, I have family in Window Rock. We should all go together and kind of make a trip out of it. David and his entire family are Navajo.
About time he learned the truth about his daddy, don't you think?
We had a couple of other pieces of freight in the truck with us, so David took their truck and they convoyed, and we were communicating back and forth with walkie-talkies just to kind of keep it fun, you know, make it more of a trip together as opposed to, you know, just us following one another.
However, the fun doesn't last long.
What is that? Hey, you see that up ahead?
As we're coming down the highway, we can kind of see what appears to be a very large black or brown dog. As we get closer and closer, we can kind of see that it's got this brown, wiry, kind of matted fur. Looks like it could almost be covered in like a dried blood. It turns and it looks at us, and it's got this it's like a face. It's like a person's face stretched over like a bear's skull. Its eyes were like jet black, just holes in the human mask. It's just these jet black eyes peering through. And while it, like, the expression in the eyes was almost angry, the look on the face was more one of like pain and agony. I'm sorry. It's still kind of hard for me to talk about.
Whatever this creature before them is, it has its sights set on Josh and his father.
My dad kind of looks at me, and I look at him, and it was almost a look like, is this really happening right now? It like shrieks this horrible, horrible sound.
Now that the beast sees them, there's no escape. Josh, his father, and their friend David are traveling a deserted road in the heart of Navajo country, rumored to be stalked by an ancient beast. And now, they are stopped in the middle of nowhere, just a few feet away from it.
I've only seen that face on my father a few times, both times when his parents died, and then that night. And it was just this face like, I want to tell you everything's gonna be okay, but I don't know. I just remember him giving me that look.
David is the only one of the three who is Navajo. He knows what this creature is, and he knows how much danger they're in.
Just go back in the car.
The terrified look on David's face tells them it's something to be very afraid of, and that they need to return to their vehicles now.
Hit it with your car. Put the pedal to the metal and hit it now.
He said, you have to speed up, you have to hit that thing. That is not a dog. You have to. He started becoming hysterical, screaming, you have to hit it. You have to hit that thing.
Kill it, kill it, kill it.
We start to realize this thing is huge. I remember not screaming, nothing was said, and just 10 and 2 on the steering wheel, just accelerating as fast as we could. And I'm ready for impact. Just then it like shrieks this horrible, horrible sound. We were inches from hitting it. Then it jumps back off into the blackness, and I couldn't see it again.
Do you see it? Do you see it?
It was unnatural. I mean, it's sitting in the dead center of the highway, and it's able to clear a whole lane, plus, you know, the little ditch off to the side that separates the road from the barbed wire fence. I've never seen it. It was absolutely unnatural.
When Josh and his father ask David what they saw, they get a blood-curdling answer. It's a Skinwalker.
The Skinwalker is it's a legend from the Navajo people that is predominantly around the southwestern United States. A Skinwalker is a shaman or a medicine man that has begun practicing the evil side of shamanism that involves mostly taking shape, shifting shape. It's a shapeshifter. Someone who can change from a human to an animal.
A Skinwalker is also known as a Navajo witch. They're known to be harmful. The legend describes them as being some sort of an animal-like humanoid.
They're like a magical practitioner, like a shaman that's started to practice like a blood magic or a black magic.
Not all Navajo shamans are evil, but those who pursue dark magic or dark energy could be potentially really dangerous.
And there's a sinister reason why it is after these innocent travelers.
Once a Skinwalker has you in his scent, they will do everything in their power to grab you, to get you, to kill you, to eat you.
In order to gain their power, they have to commit some kind of serious cultural taboo or crime, you know, killing an infant or cannibalizing a family member, something truly heinous to like gain the power to being able to shapeshift, and that's what a Skinwalker is.
Once it has consumed their flesh, it must wear the skin of its victim, even if it has peeled off a human being.
And that's where the term Skinwalker actually comes from. In order to continue to change shape, they have to continue practicing whatever sort of dark taboo they initially broke in the first place. So if they were to gain their abilities through consuming someone's flesh and cannibalizing them, then to keep their powers, they would have to continue breaking those taboos.
Fresh human flesh. David believes the Skinwalker was hunting for its next prey when Josh and his father came along. Right now, they all feel lucky to have escaped. But they aren't out of the woods yet. Not even close. The Skinwalker is back and chasing their vehicle. He has acquired their scent, and there is no stopping him.
According to legend, Skinwalker must eat human flesh in order to continue and maintain its power. Once they eat, they need to continue to eat to increase their power. I would consider them to be extremely dangerous. They're the equivalent to a rabid dog who is hungry and will do anything they need to get their prey.
Josh, his father, and their friend David are being chased by the legendary Skinwalker, which needs a fresh kill to maintain its power.
Can you guys see it anywhere?
David was still freaking out over the radio. He kept saying, we have to go faster. We have to get out of here. It is following us. We have to leave right now.
Just jumped out of the way. Where is it? Is it behind us?
This horrible, freakish creature could actually be following us and keeping pace with our vehicle, you know, on the highway. The thought that it was hunting us was truly horrible. He kept saying, it's following us, we have to get out of here, we have to go faster. He kept repeating that last part, we have to go faster and we have to get out of here. That was one of the worst parts, honestly, because David's a very stoic man, you know, but to hear him freak out and to start screaming over the radio, you know, obscenities, we have to get out of here, we have to leave, it absolutely put my mind in panic mode. I didn't know what was gonna happen. At that moment, I remember I can feel that I'm trembling. My heart is racing. My vision's kind of feeling blurred almost. Like, I'm freaking out. I start hyperventilating. My dad's trying to comfort me, you know. It's okay, we're gonna make it out of here. We just have to drive faster. And then at that point, we were hauling ass across the desert, and we get pulled over by a Navajo reservation police officer. As we're pulling over, David is behind us, so he pulls in with us, and this obviously makes the officer very nervous. He exits his vehicle with his, you know, his hand on his holster.
You guys are going a little fast tonight. In a rush to go somewhere?
There's a Skinwalker.
Can you turn the car off for me, please?
There's a Skinwalker. We gotta get out of here.
And I remember the officer, a Navajo man himself, he just turns white. he had that same look on his face like, is this really happening right now?
Follow me, guys.
The officer knows that they shouldn't be stuck in the middle of nowhere with a Skinwalker, let alone say the name out loud.
In Navajo culture, the Skinwalker legend is taken very seriously. They do not talk with anyone outside, as they feel that it will give its source of energy to the Skinwalker.
With the police escort in tow, should the Skinwalker reappear, Josh, his father, and David put the pedal to the metal.
And we hightailed it all the way back to Farmington at that speed. Seeing the city lights of Farmington really actually did put my mind at ease, but David was still calling over the radio like, you guys have to come over to our house right after we get back, like you can't go home alone. And he goes back into his bedroom and he's rummaging around for something I guess his grandmother gave him.
Josh, look, I see you now, okay? All right, it's gonna come for you. You need to keep this, all right? You listen to me, you keep this.
Yeah, he just very panicked, you know, kind of shoved it into my hand and said, you have to keep this in your house or they can, it's like if you don't have this, they'll be invited in. It was like I believe it was a small eagle feather, maybe a couple inches long. It had twine, red and white twine wrapped around the base of it. I only saw it that one time for just a brief second because my dad took it and put it in his jacket pocket.
Listen. It's seen you now, okay? All right, it's gonna come for you.
According to legend, if you hold a charm, it will stop the Skinwalker from coming to you, but you need to hold on to it. As soon as you let it go, it will come back. They would be extremely lucky for getting away from the Skinwalker as they did. Thankfully, they had a vehicle. Right, now they have to be careful, they need to hold on to the charm, and they need to protect themselves from it. If they lose the charm, the Skinwalker's gonna come right back for them.
With the precious charm in their hands, Josh and his father pray they are safe as they speed home.
Several Navajo people that I know are always very adamant not to go in the desert at night, not by yourself, especially Biligonas like myself or white people like myself are supposedly at risk in those areas. That conveys just how terrifying and freaky the incident was. I absolutely believe that there has to be some truth to the legends if, you know, all these people, not just myself, but several people I know claim to have at least seen something weird in the desert.
Josh is still haunted by the experience and fears the consequence of telling his story.
It still kind of messes with me, the thought that, you know, I mean, even talking about it right now, I still think about, you know, how speaking about them supposedly gives them power. I mean, how much power am I giving them right now? I'm glad that I live in town and not on the outskirts. And right now I'm still living in my dad's house, so if he does have that totem tucked away somewhere, I do feel safe, at least hoping that it's there. Just outside my window looks fairly similar to the Window Rock area. Yeah, I would definitely find myself laying awake, staring at my window, like hoping that something isn't right on the other side.